Hello. So I was able to get my daughter down for a little nap and I decided to attempt to do a quick makeup tutorial for you. It depends on how long she stays asleep. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna go ahead and start with my Obagi toner. This has been really helping. I use it in the daytime and the nighttime, really helping with my skin's overproduction of oil. So this helps balance the skin's pH, which in turn kind of just gets everything neutral and in zen. So I'm gonna start with this and just use it all over, especially my oily places, like my nose and my cheeks. All right, it feels good too. Then I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my One Essential Super Skin Boosting Serum. This is a serum by Dior. It's absolutely amazing, and its main function is to protect the skin's barrier from internal and external aggressors. So internal would be like your computer screen, your phone screen, paint. External would be like pollution, free radicals, all that fun stuff that messes you up. So that's all soaked in. And I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my Augustinus Bader. This is not what I use at night, but it is a good daytime cream because it's really light. I didn't really like it at first, not gonna lie. I felt like my skin started purging really heavily, which I know is part of a process when it comes to using a new skincare, but I just thought that it was breaking me out. But after the breakout really subsided, my skin's texture just became so much smoother. So I love that. All right, that feels nice and soaked in. Skin looking glowy. Okay, so I'm going to start with brows. I don't know why I start with brows, but I do. This is the Dior Show Brow Styler. It is comparable to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, but I'd say it's a little bit less creamy and a little bit stiffer. Absolutely love this. I like the fact that it's stiffer because it's a little bit drier of a product, and for someone who has oily skin like myself, especially around this area, it ensures that my brow doesn't slide off my face. So I just take a little bit out at a time, just like that. And I'm gonna go ahead, if you've noticed, I've combed all my brow hairs up. That's how they naturally grow, so I wanna kind of just work with the hair's natural growth, and I'm just gonna kind of cut it across. I always start with the bottom of my brow to get that shape that I'm looking for. And then I pull it across like that. Go on up to the arch. And I pull it down like that. I'm not going to fast forward through any parts of this because I want you to see how fast it's going to take me to do this full look. Because this should be an everyday easy thing you can do, not something that's too difficult. All right, so there's one brow. You can see a huge difference. People do not believe me when I tell them I do not have a lot of brow hair. I am one of the many victims of the early 2000s who thought it was a great idea to just pluck all our brow hairs out and literally leave ourselves expressionless. No brows. Guess what? Brow hair does not come back. It really doesn't. Unless you're like super lucky. For me, I have been mostly bald. So now it's just a matter of filling these bad boys in. This is why microblading has become such a booming business for some of y'all, because nobody over the age, I'd say between the ages of like 26 and maybe 46 has brows left because we plucked them all out. Thank you, 90s and 2000s. All right, so we're gonna come through, and then when I come through, I can see little areas that I missed. Just gonna comb through that. This color is actually black, but I feel like Dior's black is more like a deep brown, which is how I want my brows to kind of be. Brows on. Okay, so next up is I'm going to comb through the brow with the Brow Maximizer. It's actually a lash maximizer. I call it a brow maximizer because I use it in my brow, but it is primarily used to prep the lashes for mascara. And it's amazing because it keeps the brows pretty stiff and keeps them in place. So if you are like me and you have these crazy brows that just like have a life of their own, this is a great way to keep them all in the same direction. All right, I look at Groucho Marx. We're good to go. Next up, I like to carve my brow out. So I really like the Tarte Shape Tape concealer. It's pretty heavy duty, so maybe not for everybody, but for me, I like a more full coverage concealer because I don't want to have to do too much work. I just want the coverage right away. So I'm gonna start by just carving out this eye here. I'm gonna run it right across, boom. Run it right across here, boom. I look crazy. I'm gonna get a flat brush and I'm just gonna go ahead and come in and just do a little carving. Just meeting the bottom of that brush with the bottom of my brow. I would say for this, you need a pretty stiff, sharp-edged brush. I like the 252 from MAC for that because you're really able to rely on the brush to get that straight edge. If you're like me and lazy and you never get your brows waxed, I mean the minimal brow hair that you do have, this is a great technique to make it seem like you've actually cleaned up your brow space, even if you haven't. Same thing on this side. Kind of cut it across and really carve that out. And it can get kind of messy. Obviously, we're starting with the eye space, so there's gonna be some cleanup after. But this is just the easiest way for me, starting with the eyes and the brows. Of course, for every day, you don't need to do this technique. I just like it. I think it's a little detail that makes a big impact, so I like to do it. All right. Brows are on, carved out. Now we're going to go ahead and a little bit of color to the lid. I'm not a big fan of using eyeshadow every single day for an everyday look, but I do like to emphasize the natural shape of my face and my eyes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna grab a little blending brush. And first I'm gonna start with a little bit of powder. So this powder is the Dior Forever and Ever Control Powder. It's good because it's really sheer. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that. It has like this little like trampoline portion in the middle. So it gives you just the right amount of product. And I'm just gonna comb it across to set that concealer. Doesn't really seem like it's making a difference, but it does. It's gonna help keep that concealer in place. So I'm just gonna go ahead and comb it through. And now I'm all bright. And what I'm going to actually dip into is Studio Fix NW45. So Studio Fix, as most people know, is a full coverage foundation powder. I like a color like this because I feel like it looks more natural than some shadows or some bronzers are. I mean, it's really intended to look like skin. And I'm just going to use that to kind of carve out my crease. I'm just trying to emphasize my eye shape without packing on too much product. So as you can see, the difference it makes, it's subtle, but it's there. It kind of just emphasizes that nice crease space. Obviously, I have a ton of space from my brow to my lash, so I want to fill it with something because I feel like it's just such a big, open area if I don't. So I throw a little bit of that into the crease. A little bit, just back and forth. Any tapered brush will do. This one is, I think from BH Cosmetics. They have great shadows and great brushes for a pretty reasonable price. Okay, so there's that. It's subtle, but it's there. Sometimes I like to dip into a little bit of a darker brown color too. And this is just another dark brown from BH. And I'm just, this time rather than buffing it up into my brow area, I'm gonna keep it right into my crease, just really tucked in, because it does make a little bit more of an impact when you have this subtle depth. Okay, this side too. All right, so we're not going crazy. It's just a little bit of color on the lid. Perfect, looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply my foundation now. I'm going to use, y'all, I just cleaned all my brushes, so I don't have very many brushes to use right now. I just washed them. But I'm gonna go ahead and use something unconventional. Let's use a powder brush to apply our foundation. So this is another brush from BH. It just says #1. I'm horrible when it comes to brush numbers. I worked for MAC for many years and still would refer to brushes as like the big fluffy one, the little tapered one. I'm a visual person. I'm not good with like memory. Okay, so the foundation I'm using is the Forever Undercover 24-hour full coverage foundation from Dior. It is pretty heavy duty, as you can see when I'm painting my face with it. I like it though because I like how it's matte and it lasts. I'd say it's comparable to MAC's Pro Longwear foundation, but it's a bit creamier. So some people love the way that the Pro Longwear foundation sits on the skin. They just don't necessarily like how it dries down. I definitely feel like this foundation is a little bit more hydrating, so I like it. Just gonna comb this. And I'm actually going to avoid this whole area because it's much darker than the rest of my face. I don't feel like I want to cover that up. So I'm gonna stop right about there and keep all the coverage on the body of my face. And the color I'm using is 21. I like a more yellow base foundation because as you can see, I'm pretty yellow. And actually using this brush is pretty bomb. It's kind of like buffing everything out and it's not like leaving any streaks. Okay, so I recommend this brush for your liquid foundation. Surprise, surprise. Okay, pushing that in. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back to my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. By the way, this color is Light Sand, which is a little bit yellow. I'm not really a huge fan of yellow under the eye, but in this case, it's an everyday fast makeup. We're just gonna kind of kill two birds with one stone. And since we used it for our eyelid, we're gonna go ahead and pop it under the eye. And guess what? I'm not gonna highlight and contour because we don't have time for that. And not everybody needs a highlight and contour, honestly. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and blend that out. Bring this up so I can see better. Just gonna buff it into the under eye area. So as you can see, the Tarte concealer is a great amount of coverage. It doesn't take a lot to get that like perfect look. Just gonna blend it out. All right. Look how glowy I look. All right, getting underneath, maybe under the nose a little bit. All right. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I am gonna set this. I don't recommend setting to everybody. Not everybody needs to set. I like to. I don't really have an issue with fine lines quite yet, but I know if you have an issue with like crepiness around the eye, sometimes setting with a powder doesn't really help your concealer. It actually shifts it around. But I'm gonna put a little bit of that same Dior powder under my eye, and we're not baking. We're just gonna set it. We're just gonna lock it in. It kind of gives you like a peace of mind also, knowing that it's not gonna move around. Your concealer is not gonna shift after you've gone about your day. I just really, really want a sheer veil of coverage. All right, so as you can see, just the concealer area. Okay, so now that I've completely removed all the natural undertones from my skin, I want to go in and use a little bit of powder, the NW45 foundation powder, just along the edge of my face, add a little bit of depth. So I'll start up here, just where I have natural color from the sun, and I'll comb it around. So this is kind of like a light contour, but it's not like stripes, you know, we're not going heavy on it. Just a little bit. So from far away you can see there's some contrast. Otherwise, you look like an egg. When you take away all your skin's natural tones with a heavy-duty foundation, you tend to look a little bit like Humpty Dumpty. Just saying. Gotta pop the color back in. All right. This is the one, God, I don't know, the 135 brush from MAC. I don't remember, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it has a little bit of like a point to it, which I like because it kind of leads the way. All right, so that's all you want to do. I mean, this is a very heavy duty powder, but it's not like you need a ton of it. You just need a little bit to get all over the face. Okay. So we need to do blush because blush is my absolute favorite. If I was trapped on a desert island, I would bring blush with me. Blush over water, okay? Because when I'm rescued, I want to look like I'm not completely lifeless. So I'm going to go ahead and use a color from Laura Mercier, Rose Petal. It's this one right here. It's beautiful. It's so pretty. I feel like it might be discontinued. I know Laura Mercier has done a lot of changes with like color, but this one's gorgeous. There are colors that are comparable to it. I feel like Petal Pink from MAC is kind of similar to this one. I just love those like soft pinky colors because as you can see, it's just like a really beautiful natural blush. I mean, I wish I blushed this color like when I was running outside in the heat. This is what you want your blush to look like. Because my real blush color after running outside in the heat is more like Fever by MAC. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's pretty much red. All right. Looking good. Okay, so I'm a big highlight girl. I love me a good highlight. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Devotion by Laura Mercier. It's absolutely gorgeous because it's not like a metallic highlight. It's a shimmer without being too out there. It's very soft. So I'm just gonna comb this down my cheek, right around. Look at that beautiful pink glow. That is poppin'. I like to put it on the bridge of my nose too. Normally I contour my nose a little bit. I try not to. I don't want to change up the look of my nose. I feel like that makes you who you are. But I do like to add a little bit of a highlight on there. And also this is everyday fast makeup. You don't want to have to do this every single day, the contouring and everything. All right, so there's my skin. Skin is popping. So I think that it's really impactful to put bottom mascara on. Some people avoid it. I don't understand why, because I feel like it makes your eyes so much bigger and more open. I have lash extensions, and I love them, by the amazing Nina Seimer, based in Martinez, California. I go to her every 2 weeks, so I don't have to worry about my top lashes. That's one thing that's out of my morning routine is top lash mascara or like falsies. But I do recommend using bottom mascara. I feel like it makes a big difference. I'm about to show you why. So I'm going to use the Dior Pump and Volume Mascara, which is absolutely amazing. You can see that the wand is very short bristled. So you're able to really get in good to the root of the lash. Okay, so are you guys ready to see the difference? And why I recommend using bottom mascara? Okay, hold on. So I'm just gonna comb this onto my bottom lashes really gently. Bam! Look at the difference with this eye versus this eye. It's insane how different it is. So obviously you can see even from far away, it makes a big difference. Okay, so I'll go ahead and even out. And I like a little bit of a messier look. I'm not just saying that because I'm accidentally getting it really messy down here, but I do honestly like a little bit more of like a chunky looking lash. Like I want my eyes to just like pop like that. Okay. So there you have it. Okay. I have to comb this lash up a little bit. So I don't do this all the time, but I do enjoy to line the bottom of the eye with some black eyeliner. I'm going to use Smolder by MAC. I think that it's like one of my go-tos. And I'm just going to comb that underneath. I think that lining the eye does make an impact. Like, as you can see, there is kind of a difference. So for an everyday look, if you want to just kind of step it up a notch, little liner in the eye never hurt. Love that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some lips. I always prep my lip with the Lip Glow by Dior. It's amazing. Smells good, and it kind of like gets darker on the lip as it stays. So I'm gonna put that on. And I'm gonna go to my every single day combo. Holy moly, where did I just put my lipstick? Okay, lipstick is missing, but that's all right. We're just gonna go ahead and use Whirl. So normally I would mix Whirl liner from MAC with Runway Hit lipstick from MAC, but I made a boo-boo and I misplaced it. So we're just gonna do the Whirl. But the way that I apply my liner anyways is kind of like lipstick, where I cover the entire lip space with a liner. And this is every day, so it has to be the liner and lip you can throw into your purse and be cool using throughout if you need to touch up. But as you can see, that liner is just like the best liner ever. I love Whirl lip liner. I always suggest you get a lip liner that looks like it could be your natural lip color, like it shares either a similar undertone with your lip color, or it just kind of goes with the flow. That way it just looks like not too much. It's like an everyday. All right, guys, we're at 22 minutes. So if you have 22 minutes in the morning, you can achieve this. It's not impossible. But look at that Whirl. So, so pretty. Okay, so there you have it. This would be just like an everyday look you can do. Super simple. Only took 22, almost 23 minutes to do this entire thing, including skincare, the whole shebang. So there's no excuses. And I talked the entire time. If you're not talking and you're by yourself listening to your music or whatever, you can definitely get this done. So this is just a really easy everyday look while my daughter napped. Oh, I'm so proud. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.